Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Switch. Back today with a green-white black Maverick League. This is a list we took through a Legacy League on Thursday night, and we went 4-1, which is pretty nice. Going down to Moon Stompy, beating Blue-Green Omni. I know Blue-Green Omni was in there. Have a quick look. Blue-Green Omni, Pokemonkey Pile, Bug Hogak, and Turbo Goblins. So a pretty good mix of decks. A little bit of combo, a little bit of mid-range, which is really nice. And the deck performed pretty well, so I was going to run it back. The one card I did want to add in was a Force of Vigor. I really like that card, especially in Maverick, where you can apply pressure to the board, but then also have something in hand that can interact with your opponent is really strong. And the Vraska was the card that I probably didn't really find I needed in some of these matches, especially with the Eruptive Caves in the main deck. So I'm going to push Vraska to the 80 for now instead of the main deck 75. But yeah, this deck has been really promising. The main deck Engineers, Kaya, and Abrupt Decays as extra removal has been solid. The Knight of Autumn over Qasali Pridemage has been really nice to have a body that also does something when it comes into play, instead of having to actually sack the body. Hexdrink has actually been really nice. It is a card you have to be pretty patient with if you do want to get the full value off it. But I've been really enjoying having it as a one-drop piece of pressure. I was going to say disruption. But yeah, Hexdrink has just been really nice. It's a pretty good top deck as well. It's a great mana sink. It's really good in the versions with Cradle, of course, because you can do something like turn 1 Noble Hierarch, turn 2 Hexdrinker, play Cradle, and then already tick it up to the amount of, the level 4, which is pretty awesome, protected from instants. The 2 Sylvan Libraries I really like. I know Achilles is just a fan of the 1 Sylvan Library and then more Once Upon a Times, but I think that I really like to make sure that I see Sylvan Library, so having 2 copies is really nice. Other than that, Thoughtseize is the other card that I've been trying out over Deafening Silence. Both turn 1 pieces of interaction, of course, both have pros and cons. Deafening Silence, probably a little bit better against combo because it is there over multiple turns causing disruption, whereas Thoughtseize is kind of a one-off, one-for-one trade usually with your opponent. But there are some matchups, like some of the mid-range matchups where I don't mind Thoughtseize, where Deafening Silence just wouldn't come in. So I think that Deafening Silence doesn't have the flexibility that Thoughtseize does. But that's another reason why I'm playing the Chalice of the Voids over over 2 Deafening Silence, because I think the Chalice comes in against a few of those key matchups as well. But it's definitely an interesting one. I could definitely see maybe 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Deafening Silence instead of the 3 Thoughtseize Chalice. I could see 3 Chalice, 2 Deafening Silence instead of the 3 Thoughtseize. There's some nice ability to be creative here in this space. Path in the board is just extra removal. Just a huge fan of Path to Exile as a removal spell, especially against Rug Delver, a deck that typically doesn't play basics. And then also against, of course, Marit Lage. Giving 20 life can be pretty rough when your strategy is beat down. So, giving them an extra 4 or 5 pieces of 4 or 5 turns for you to actually apply that pressure and kill them is pretty rough. So Path to Exile is really nice there. Leyline is just, I think, the best graveyard hate right now. Turn 0 Leyline has won us many games, literally without my opponent playing a spell. They've just conceded. So Leyline's really nice, especially if you can win game 1 against graveyard decks. Sometimes they won't be too familiar with how you're going to board and what sort of graveyard hate you're going to use. Maybe they side for Surgical Extraction. Maybe they think you have Fairy Macabre. Maybe they think they have things like Nihil Spellbomb or Bajuka Bog. So the Leyline can really crush opponents that haven't sideboarded for it correctly. And obviously just don't have a plan for it and sometimes just concede on the spot, which is pretty cool. I think in any way that you can get a kind of free win out of a legacy game, you definitely should try to apply that into your own strategy. So Leyline's been really nice. Ramming up to the board is just kind of a meta call. I think there's a lot of decks around that are playing basics. There's not a whole lot of decks that you can kind of turn on the Wasteland lock against. So ramming up in the board is something that I really like against the decks where you can, or the decks where you want some extra sort of firepower and use the graveyard as a resource. So even in some of the mid-range matchups, I don't mind it because you can also do things like replay Horizon Canopy every turn for an extra card draw, which is nice. Zealous Persecution I'm playing in the board over a third Plague Engineer. I really like Zealous. I think that Zealous has a lot of advantages over Plague Engineer. Plague, of course, is really good against the fair decks, especially tribal decks. But once it's down, your opponent can play around it. They can just hold their spells. Zealous Persecution, on the other hand, comes out of nowhere. Probably isn't as... people aren't going to see it coming when Plague Engineer is in the format. I think a lot of people will just be like, well, they probably don't have Zealous Persecution because they're probably just playing Plague Engineer. So Zealous can do some really nice things in combat. It can, of course, still deal with a lot of the cards that we have an issue with. If we can trade with 2 Icewing Quaddles, I'm going to be very happy. Even though they already draw cards off them and get some advantage there, I think the Zealous is pretty nice. It's also a neg 1 effect all round. So against Elves, it kills Wirewood Symbiotes and Dryad Arbors instead of just Elves. Against Espervile, it's really good because they have so many different creature types that are X1 creatures. So I really like it there as well. And then it has some upside against things like Maverick, where you have Dryad Arbor, Noble Hierarch, Birds of Paradise, Hex Drinker if you can get it, Script Ranger. So Zealous, yeah, pretty sweet. Gaddock Teeg, the last one on the board for the combo matchups. I did do a write-up on the Green Sun Zenith recently about Gaddock Teeg and how it's kind of fallen out of favor. A lot of people are applying Collector Oof to the main deck because it still does a really good job against combo. But it also has some flexibility against things like Aethervile decks, where Gaddock Teeg is usually just a pretty easy cut. So I think Collector Oof just gives you a little bit more flexibility in the slot where Gaddock Teeg usually is. And it's a little bit easier on mana as well, which can come up. Especially the hands where you have like a forest and a wasteland. And this, you can cast it on turn 2, which is great. That's pretty much it. Let's see how this goes. It should be really fun. Thanks for coming in and watching. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Hope you guys are having a nice weekend. We are playing Legacy with play points. Hey Sato. Very well, thank you. I hope you're well. I have Achilles right up from the Legacy Challenge from last weekend, where he finished second, to just finish some editing on the Green Sun Zenith, which is nice. And he mentioned that he played against you, which is cool. So I hope you enjoyed it. Rough night. Is my voice that bad? I had a pretty big night. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, but the coffee is good. Hey Nurse Toki, welcome. Hello from Brisbane. I hope you're well. I've been to California. California's a really nice area. Been to San Fran, and Santa Barbara is really nice. LA, of course, pretty cool place. All right, up against KCC. Let's make this a bit bigger for you guys. There we go. It's Abby and Zach. Very cool, nice. Welcome, guys. So this is an interesting hand because the Green Suns here kind of represents Dryad Arbor as a turn 1 play, but we already have enough mana that I don't really kind of want to waste this Green Suns on an acceleration piece. So I think I'm going to mulligan this. The Questing Beast is nice, but usually this is a threat that I want to have in the deck as a Green Suns target later on in the game. I want to have my Thalia as my Noble Hierarch in my opening hand, so in the blind I'm probably going to mulligan this. We do have some interaction in Caracas and Wasteland, but of course against a snow deck these could just be pretty much useless. So I think being on the draw, we also have an extra draw step, so I'm gonna pitch this. I was gonna say this is a great hand. We can drop either Green Suns or a piece of removal, but we only have the Scrub Land, which doesn't produce green, which is pretty rough. But we do have some good draw steps, but I don't want to rely on a draw step to draw a green source. Alright, here we go. We'll keep this. Bottom Questing Beast. I like the Wands, I like the Knight, I like the Swords. I kind of like the Plague as well. Yeah, the Maverick matchup's usually pretty fun. I will definitely contest to that. So I think I might bottom the Knight, because I can find Knight through a variety of ways. I can find it through the Wands, of course. I can find it through Green Suns. And we only have so many Plague Engineers. And just because Plague Engineer is so powerful against so many decks that I kind of want to keep it, because I don't have a great way to find it later on. So I'm going to drop the Knight. I do want the Wands because I want kind of access to 3 mana for as long as I can. And a Windswept Heath usually means it's going to be a fair-ish deck, so that's always pretty nice. exploration. Ah, okay, this is gonna be lands. Okay. So maybe the knight was probably the better keep, but we'll see how this goes. I'm probably happy just playing the Verdant Catacombs here. And passing, I could play the Forest, but I don't want to play into Rishon Port either, so I think that Verdant here is okay. Not playing the Savannah, of course, because I don't want to get wastelanded. My opponent already has a pretty nice start with that exploration. And there's the port that I was talking about. Crucible, okay. So now my opponent has on Crucible and Wasteland. This is definitely a matchup where I really like. Force of Vigor. I think here I just want to once and probably try to find another fetch land. The issue is that my opponent could potentially be really aggressive with Rishon Port and start tapping down my fetches to make me fetch and then start wastelanding what I get, because they might know that I don't have too much to catch to get with the Verdant Catacombs. I sadly can't get a basic off the Verdant. Oh, maybe I can. No, I can't. Because I do want to play the Thalia if I do get a basic, but I can't get a basic Forest off this. So I guess we could once into a Windswept Heath, because we do have access to another Forest in the deck. I don't mind that. So let's go once first. There's Windswept Heath. Play this. And this will mean we won't be able to play the Plague Engineer anytime soon, but I'm more than happy to go for Forest and basic planes. I feel like I touch my beard when I stream so much now. I should stop doing that. I feel like a lot of streamers with beards do it, and I don't think it's a great great thing to do on the stream. Instep fetch. Okay. The one downside of getting basics is that the port just becomes so much better because they're able to take you off one full color instead of you having, yeah, this is gonna be rough. This might even be, sadly, a concession just because of the lock they have. How can you think about your plays without doing it so? Interesting they go after green. Thalia. Okay, I'm pretty happy just to replay Thalia here. Opponent doesn't have too much going on, so I don't mind just trying to grind it out a little bit more and see what build they're on. It looks like it's just going to be red-green lands, so not some of the bug builds that have been showing up with things like Oko and Uro. The main deck Crucible is really interesting. Riftstone Portal, okay, Thespian Stage, 2 cards in hand. This feels like 4 mana, 3 mana? Theros. I don't know what this card is. It's just got Cascade and Retrace? Okay, that's pretty good. Into Gamble? Gamble's interesting. I assume you gamble into Loam here, because it just hits so many things. Maybe they gambled into Crop Rotation. Okay. So at least they can tap down us once here. But we could draw into Scavenging Ooze to hit this, this card. Obviously, this won't happen, but... Yeah, there's some cool new cards coming out from Zendikar Rising that hopefully we run into, because I think a lot of people will be testing some of these new cards. Yeah, Grove here is just brutal. I probably shouldn't 6 because then they can just wasteland my Windswept Heath, but we'll see what happens. It looks like the Retrace, yeah. This is really interesting. Into a Loam, yeah, so it seems pretty good. I've never seen it before. I think Screws here is just my best draw. Oh, okay. Alright. Let's get some things happening. I probably don't want to get wastelanded off too many green or black sources. I think I might just go Bayou and Savannah, and then we actually have access to both of them. I'm definitely eating the Punishing Fire, and then I think I'm just eating the Loam. I think eating Loam is better than eating the Throne here. We have 2 cards left. The sad thing is, because of their mana, I can't even just eat a creature to get to a 3/3. So I need a good turn here. I really need them to probably hit a Exploration off this. That's probably the worst card they could draw into. I don't want them to hit Punishing Fire. I probably don't mind Loam. It is Crop Rotation. Interesting. I assume they have something like... I guess they could have Dark Depths, but they could also have Cabal Pit. They're just going to get Dark Depths. Okay. That's fine. We'll see if they play around Wasteland or Karakas here. They probably just make the 2020 now. I guess the Wasteland just means they can play around them anyway, because they can actually start the play. So what I mean by that is that they can go... Oh, they're just going to make it now. Okay. So if we played a Wasteland, I'm going to tap down my white source. Oh, wow. Okay, so they can use the Riftstone Portal to actually tap the Dark Depths for mana. And this means that they can actually take me off white here without making the Dark Depths token. Luckily, we drew this. But it's going to be rough either way, because they have the Wasteland. Hey, Leviathan. It's rough because this also makes me lose a life if I tap it, so I can't even go up to 21 life thanks to the Scavenging Ooze. I guess there are only 2 creatures, but... I could attack with the Scavenging Ooze and see if they make the 2020 then block. And then I can definitely Swords, and I think that's just the play. Unfortunately. So they should Wasteland first and then use the stage. Yeah. Oh, at least we can float mana here. Interesting. So they didn't Wasteland in the second main, which is a huge issue here for them because I can just float a white here. And now they can't make their 2020. I'm actually going to eat this Retrace card right now. Huh. I think here I might even just make the Screws a 3/3 to play around Punishing Fire off the top. There's Mox, that's fine. Can we run away with this? It's tough because the Swords just gains them so much life. Bog's fine. We can eat the Riftstone Portal, which is a little bit of interaction against my opponent, but it's looking tough. I guess they can just do the same thing here. We're not even gonna... Yeah. Knight of Autumn. Yeah. That's gonna be game. So, nearly found a way there, but just couldn't get there. So what are we looking at? We are looking at lands. So I like the ley lines a lot. I do like the paths, especially if they're bringing in tiles, trackers, etc. And I do like the force. I don't like the Thalias. I don't mind the Oof because it can turn off Mox Diamond, which can really punish them. Plague Engineers can definitely come out. Hextrig is interesting. I'm not sure if that's where it's going to be. Hey Jerry Freeman, welcome. Hope you're well. Ramen Up, of course. Thank you. That's a good one. Questing Beast is exceptional in this matchup because it gets around Maze of Earth, it gets around Glacial Chasm. It's got some nice play there. Kaya is an interesting one. I think I can probably drop down on Kaya if I'm bringing in Leyline, but Kaya also hits things like Exploration, Mox Diamond, it exiles Punishing Fire and Life in the Loams, which are nice. So I think I might keep at least one in the deck. I could see myself going down on some number of mana dorks, but usually on the play I really like the ability to build out my mana early on. Yeah, Script Ranger is interesting. Script Ranger can buy you a turn against Dark Depths, and it can also save your dual lands that are forests against Wasteland, so I don't mind it. We're definitely taking out this. I think I could probably cut 2 swords for the 2 paths, because I think we have enough answers for the actual Dark Depths. I don't need all 6 pieces of interaction. And that's 60 right there, which I kind of like. Scrib also allows us to untap Knight if we need to, which is nice. I think I might see how this 60 goes, and then if there is a third game, we can reevaluate how we want to board. But I'm probably okay, because I have the decays as well for things like Elvish Reclaimer or Tireless Tracker. QB is also good against Field of the Dead, very correct, yeah. So let's see how this goes. This should be pretty fun. That is good coffee. This is a pretty sweet hand because we can Leyline and then we can once for a white source and then play Noble Hierarch. So I'm all in on this hand. I am going to once first because if I find a fetch land, I kind of want to go... I do want to cast this before I cast the Noble, so... I think I do. There's some play to keeping the once until I just need it for value. Because now we have, you know, turn 1 Noble off the Forest, turn 2 Knight off the Wasteland. But I kind of want to find a fetch land just so I can play the Knight as a 3/3 to play around Punishing Fire. And so that's what I'm finding the role of Once Upon a Time to be. It's to find a fetch land so we can play this Knight as a 3/3. So I'm going to cast the once. I'm going to find a fetch land. Surely. Yes, nice. I probably don't mind keeping it for now, because if the turn 1 play is Bog, then that also doesn't play around like Bog into red source. But a pretty nice start from us. I mean, turn 0 Leyline, Mana Acceleration, and Noble Hierarch, and now we have Knight of the Reliquary. We also found Windswept Heath, which means we can get a basic if we want. And I think here we're just going to go for basic planes into Knight. And now we get a 6, which is kind of nice. Now we also have this double Wasteland, but we do kind of have to play around Corrosion Grip. I think that's still a play that my opponent might have. Crop rotation would be interesting, and kind of something that I want to kind of play around, so I'm happy just to attack for 4 here with the Knight. There's no real reason to keep it up right now because we have double Wasteland in hand, we have swords. I'm pretty happy just to start applying some amount of pressure. And then I might just Wasteland in their upkeep. That's fine. They could be getting stage here because they have the combo, or they could be getting stage here because they have a basic, Oh, Ghost Quarter is going to be pretty nice. Sylvan Library is a really nice draw for them. This is why I do like applying pressure here. Dried Arbor. Not what I really want. So I could play the Dried Arbor and then turn it into another card, with Knight going for Horizon Canopy. Takes a turn off. I probably don't mind that, to be honest. I probably like just jamming in here for 5 and try to, you know, and not allow them to draw too many cards of the Sylvan Library by applying maximum pressure. I don't think I want to play the Dryad Arbor. I think I want to play the Wasteland. And then just see what they do with their stage and end step, because they might try to copy something here. So stage can copy Forest, which means that later on we can't Wasteland it because it's a basic. Yeah, I think the best play is to try to get them down to as low as enough life total that they can't use Sylvan Library too aggressively. And I think here I'm just going to keep this this Wasteland up for now. Another Wasteland. Alright. I mean, they're down to 6. We kind of have lethal now that they've fetched. So we'll see what happens here. They have 2 cards left in hand. They probably just wanted to fetch there to actually... get some cards off the top of Sylvan Library. So I can try to hit the stage, but then of course they can just Ghost Quarter our Wasteland if they want. So if I go for stage here, they could even just copy their own forest to fizzle the stage, which would make me kind of have to play the second Wasteland into the Thespian stage. And they could actually go, if we Wasteland stage here, they can then go Ghost Quarter on this Wasteland, which then if we want to, we have to go for this stage again, which then they can activate the stage to copy the forest. So there's no great way around this, but I think we'll just see what they do with the stage, because that causes them to actually do something. Yeah, now they're going to Ghost Quarter this. Now we'll go back on the stage. Now they have Crop, yeah. So I probably don't want to use the swords here until after they use their Sylvan Library, so they can't actually use the 20 life to draw more cards. And I don't believe they're going to be a step deck, so I don't have to play around step, which is nice. There's some instances here where if I did draw another threat, I could swords my own creature, take the hit, and then still have lethal on the swing back. But unfortunately, I don't have that option here. So now I really need to draw a way to deal with this Sylvan Library, or it's going to be pretty bad. Okay, well, Questing Beast is kind of an answer, because it allows us to start just attacking for a bunch. So I think I'll just get Savannah here. I guess, to be fair, I don't care if my opponent Wastelands me, because it's probably 1 less mana they're actually putting into their own plan to reassemble a way to win the game. So I think getting Bayou here is fine because it also turns on drawing into like Abrupt Decay. They're going to try to crop for something here. Caracas. Okay, well that is pretty good. Wow. Interesting. So maybe they just didn't really see anything that could beat the knight? Huh. Do I want to change up how I play this game on the draw? I don't think there's anything that really changes. I don't think like Thoughtseize is worth it. Zealous, of course, isn't worth it. There's maybe some thought to bringing in an extra Swords to Plowshares, but to be fair, if we're not playing them on the play, we're probably not playing it on the draw because we're drawing more cards on the draw. So if we're playing it on the play where we're kind of one card down, then I don't think we're playing it on the draw. Honestly, I think I'm pretty happy just running back what we have. I think there is some advantage to us being a knight deck with Wastelands. A few ways to deal with the 2020 as well. Why the 2-2 split? So the 2-2 split is because I don't want to have all 6 in the deck. And I do want to try to have Path for the 2020 so that we don't have to kind of reset their life total, because the only way we win this game is by, unfortunately, combat damage. So I do want to take out some number of swords there to make room for the Path to Exiles. Turmoil Library is pretty good. Wasteland. Wasteland's interesting. Unfortunately, I can't go Bayou into Dried Arbor. So I think here I'm just going to play the Wasteland, so that next turn I can play the Bayou and Green Suns for 1. I don't believe I'm going to go for Wasteland on the Grove here. I think the Wasteland means a lot more to me as 1 mana than it does taking them off 1 when they already have a Sylvan Library out, and we currently don't have anything on the board to deal with it. Really interesting that they didn't even use anything there, because I think digging is also really nice. What? Okay, so my opponent did not play a land on their second turn, and they didn't use Sylvan Library to draw any additional cards, which I just do not understand. Oh, we have Force of Vigor? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's what the Dried Arbor is going to be doing. So, this is pretty interesting. I think I keep the Bayou for now. I think we just go Wasteland again and then pass back, and then in upkeep we can force these two. Oh my gosh. This is pretty brutal. This is exactly why I love to use Sylvan Library aggressively when nothing is on the board. They're going to crop. That's fine. Hey, Styfro. Welcome. They're going to get a fetch land. That's fine. Wasteland's more than fine. Oh, our own Sylvan Library? That's pretty nice. I believe the Green Suns is going to go for a Knight, but I kind of want to get it when it isn't a 2-2. Yeah, opponent's just going to concede. That was... I don't understand that. So they went turn 1, Grove of the Bone Willows, Mox Diamond, Sylvan Library, untap, 20 life, don't take anything, don't play a second land for turn, pass. I'm not like berating my opponent, I just want to know what's in their hand. Because that's such a weird play, especially when you have Sylvan Library out and I have no pressure on the board. They had a crop rotation, but that doesn't do much. Interesting to say the least. But there as well, thankfully showing how good Force's Vigor is. Yeah, to be fair, maybe the opponent's new to the deck. Maybe they just meant to pay for extra cards and just didn't. You know, MTGO can do that to people. Opponent's cat could have jumped on that keyboard and hit the F6 key. Yeah, exactly. Something weird could have happened. It's definitely not just, you know, on the opponent there. Something could have happened. But yeah, an interesting one. Double leyline in games 2 and 3 was really nice as well. Tilt on. Alright, we're on the play. And this hand is pretty solid. We have turn 1 Birds, and then we can even have turn 2 Scrib Ranger into Thalia, which is pretty nice with Cradle. So I'm going to keep this. That is why I don't own cats. Yeah, I am very much a dog person, so apologies to anyone in chat who is a cat person. Lotus Petal. Okay, that's never a good sign. Hopefully we get a turn where we can play Thalia. Looting. Okay, this is going to be Reanimator. Interesting. And they started on Lotus Petals. That always makes me very cautious that they have a land drop and something like Reanimate. But, you know, we have some nice outs, so... Hey, Mr. Lee. A huge thank you for the raid. For those of you who do not know who Mr. Lee is, he is a legacy streamer. Very good quality production streamer. Who you might have seen on Reddit recently. I know he posted a few different leagues, which is cool. But a huge thank you for the raid. Really nice. For those of you from Mr. Lee's channel, my name is Dukes on Twitch. I stream Legacy Maverick. I usually stream twice a week. We got up in game 1 against Red Green Lands. Alright, so they get to draw once here. This is going to be tough. Blue decks are confusing. Oh, you just played Blue-White Helm? Very cool. Did you play any new cards from Zendikar Rising in Blue-White Helm? Unmask. I think we've given away enough about our deck that I'm not going to concede to the Unmask. We have some pretty good draws as well. Felidar Retreat? Nice. That's a very sweet card. Oof. What's this? Like, just hardcast Grave Titan? Hopefully not. It's obviously something pretty good. Children. Okay, they're just going to go off this turn. Rough. Why does it get Vigilance as well? Yeah. It does seem really good. I think it's going to be really good in like a green-white depths kind of deck. Hey, Boyd. Haha, we're not versing Tin Fins. I believe we're versing Black-Red Reanimator that now just has a Child of Colossus Tendrils Kill. Which is kind of cool. You know, we played our turn 1 bird and our opponent just killed us. Which just happens sometimes. I mean, it's Legacy. You got to accept that. But yeah, very cool to see. We do have some nice cards in the board though. The Tendrils always makes it interesting about Gaddock Teeg, but we definitely like the Leyline package. I do like the extra parts. I don't mind the Thought Seizers on the play, because hitting something like Reanimate or Entomb is just so strong. I don't mind the Chalices because it can stop things like Chancellor. Force is interesting. These two are kind of interesting. So Force can hit Animate Dead, Gaddock Teeg can stop Tendrils, but I think we're trying to stop them by then. So let's take out the Plagues. Collector Oof I can probably take out because we have the Chalices. I think the Chalices are a little bit better than Oof because you're able to play them before your opponent plays the Lotus Petals, whereas Oof is usually too late. Sylvan Library is usually a little bit too long for this world. A little bit too slow. The Abrupt Decays don't really have too many hits. I do like Once Upon a Times because they can find Caracas and allow us to dig for that. Night of Autumn's an interesting one. I don't mind it because it does allow us to find something to deal with, you know, Animate Dead, which is kind of cool. Gaddock does stop Tendrils, but unfortunately they do have other ways to win. And I think because we have the Ley Lines, that also stops the Tendrils lines because they can't get back to Children of Colossus. And if we're also going after the Lotus Petals, then it's pretty hard for them to cast it. But maybe. We didn't see an Emrakul. No, so quickly see if I can get up a list to sort of show you guys what we're playing against. Legacy. Yeah. So I believe this is kind of the list that we're looking at here. So it's pretty much just Chancellor and Grizzlebrand as the reanimate targets, but then they have the child to then just kind of go off through a Tendrils with a pretty stock black-red list, which is interesting. Yeah, I could see them put out the combo. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. Okay, so we have 50 seconds. I don't like these. I like Thalia. I like the, probably Hex Trinket can go. Scavenging Ooze is nice. Grip Range is nice, even as just a body to block in the air. Kaya, I think, is okay, but I think because a lot of their graveyard sort of interaction is instant speed, that the sorcery speed effect isn't that great. I'm going to take out the Questing Beast as well. And I'm also just going to go down on a land. Probably just a Savannah. I think this is pretty good. Hey, thanks, Lee. Enjoy your weekend. Hope you have a nice weekend. Hey, Alex. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what are you playing Legacy? No Leyline, and no green source to open up with, so I am going to mulligan this. Just a wasteland here, which is pretty rough. Hey, Poke. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Are you from Seattle? Very cool. Seattle's got a really nice Legacy scene. Yeah, Legacy's in a pretty interesting spot, especially with Bryant doing so well with Tez. So this hand is okay. We have a Thoughtseize and a Chalice. We don't have a Leyline, but if we play Bayou into Birds of Paradise, we do have mana to actually cast it. So I don't mind keeping this. I'm going to put back one Wasteland. And probably just the Knight. Chalice for 0. Thoughtseize my opponent. Next turn, Green Suns for Bird. So I think we drop the Knight. I think that's what's not really happening this turn. I mean, if my opponent has Chancellor, they don't, which is nice. So I'm going to Thoughtseize first. Alright. It's probably the Entomb here that I care about, but my opponent can also go Thoughtseize themselves, Grizzlebrand, untap, Animate Dead. So this is kind of tough. I think it's just the Animate Dead here. Then my opponent can Entomb in their end step, but they don't have a way to get it back. So if we take Entomb, turn 1 they Thoughtseize themselves, turn 2 they animate Grizzlebrand. If we take the Thoughtseize, they Entomb, then Animate Dead. If we take the Grizzlebrand, they just you know, I don't want to take the Grizzlebrand. So I think it is just take Animate Dead here. Yeah. And then I'm pretty happy to play Chalice for 0 in case they draw into Lotus Petal. And then just pass. There's a Verdant. Oh, they're fetching now, which is interesting. So maybe they're going for the Thoughtseize line. Okay. That's not too bad. It does turn off their line to actually Thoughtseize us. Windswept Heath. Interesting. I'd love to get a Dried Arbor, but I feel like I need the white source. So I'm gonna play the Wasteland because they don't know what this card is. So in case we draw into another Reliquary, I do want to have a white source for that. Yeah, Death Shadow in all formats is pretty sweet because you only have to tinker with a few cards between formats, Alex, which I really like. Like you can have a modern version and then, you know, like 16 cards to kind of... And this is... Are they hitting us? Or are they entombing themselves? Nice. And that's a great reason not to play the Windswept Heath there because they would definitely not unmask us if they thought that we had something else. Oh, they mask themselves. Okay. Okay, this is going to be pretty rough. Maybe there's a world where keeping the 5 wasn't the greatest and we should have just gone for Leyline on 4 cards or 3 cards, but... My opponent just went down to 2, which is interesting, so we do have some nice draws here. Caracas up the top would be insane. Verdant. I think I might wasteland my opponent. I probably should. Just to keep him off as much mana as possible. Once you play Legacy Shadow, going back to Serum Visions feels so bad. Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. Oh, you made top 4 with the Jund Shadow list? That is very cool, because I think Blue-Black has the biggest proportion of Legacy when it comes to Shadow, so... Jund Shadow sounds pretty nice. Ooh, okay. So our opponent kind of has to win here, or else we could go Dried Arbor into Exalted Creature, swing for 2, which is pretty funny. So we'll see what happens. Opponent has 5 mana. Unmask themselves? Or unmask us to see what was happening. Elish one's pretty good. Entomb. Okay. Are they just building up storm count? I feel like they're gonna like... No, they can't tendrils here. They could if they wanted to. Animate Dead Child. Okay. Back up to 9. I mean, they could flop here. They could flop. And then we do have it. Okay. I'm going to say the Dark Ritual means they just have it. Rough. There is a world. There is a world. The storm count is currently 8, so they definitely have lethal. They know our hand, I believe, as well. Do they have to pay another 7? That's the big question. They do! Okay. They only have 3 mana as well, and Lotus Petals don't work. Oh, they have the ritual. So yeah, if they have it, they have it. But what we could have done is, if they didn't have anything, fetch for Dried Arbor and then just knock the top of the deck and hope it's an exalted creature, like Noble Hierarch. Or even Green Suns does it, because we have the fetch land. Exhume. Interesting. Sadly, I don't think Oops All Spells is a content-worthy deck. But obviously very good right now. Just, you would want someone who actually knows how to play Oops All Spells. Not a guy who doesn't play too much blue. Down to 4 cards. Wow, was it in the bottom 4? Guess it doesn't really matter. Interesting, so just couldn't find the tendrils. Unfortunately for us, we just don't have an out because even Caracas at the top only deals with Elish Norn or Grizzlebrand. Yeah, Oops might be another reason to play Deafening Silence over Chalice or Thoughtseize, if it does pick up. See how they attack, because they might just like attack with 2 creatures. I don't think they would, but... One. But yeah, Oops is interesting. A very cool deck to have in Legacy. And hopefully these land spell cards don't take it over the top, because I mean it is a pretty big force of deck, but why is Oops All Spells suddenly all big good? Yeah, so the spell lands. So the lands that can either be a land drop or just be a spell in the deck. Which means that with things like Belcher, you don't have to kind of like show a land, you can show a spell and just go straight past it. Oh wait, that's the modern version, sorry. But also with yeah, with Oops, it does make the mana really consistent. Cunt Mull 5, keep 7. This hand is okay. We have interaction in Swords, we have Green Suns to find a Silver Bullet if we need to, and we have Mana Acceleration in Noble, so pretty happy to keep this. Not too sure what my opponent's on. Hey Ayak, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. I'm not sure if Oops now plays Veil. Maybe not, but... Aether Vial, okay. We're looking at Goblins. Which isn't too bad for us, because we have the double swords. Oh, once. Collector Oof is pretty nice here, I will be honest. So next turn, if both of these mana sources survive, we get to go Collector Oof and hold up Swords to Plowshares. Haha, hey Isaac, welcome. Hope you're well. Big ups on your finishes recently with Magic Online. I know you've been doing really well and got some nice payouts, which is very cool to see. So this is an interesting one. I think here I actually want to... The big blowout is land drop into Collector Oof. They activate Violent Response, have Lackey, and then untap and Munitions Expert the Collector Oof, then attack with the Lackey. So I think here I'm probably more happy just to build out my mana. So I'm going to go for Dryad. Yeah, I'll just go for another Bayou and get Dryad Arbor. Lackey. Interesting. Okay. No land. Interesting. I'm pretty happy just to swords here. I could trade with the Dryad Arbor, but I kind of want to keep my mana going. I think my best draw is probably just another white source, so I could play Kaya, tick down on the Aether Vial, and then also have Source to Plowshares up. Expert's okay. Does this mean they have a second one? No. Okay. Another swords. Nothing. Waste. So opponent going after our mana pretty aggressively early on, which has paid off because currently we don't have a white source for any of the cards in hand. And just a miss. Could probably attack with both here, which is probably correct. I think the Munitions Expert, especially in a deck that probably has Skirk Prospector, and obviously other Munitions Experts, it's probably better to see if we can take those off the board. Yeah. The classic race. That's fine. I'm pretty happy with that. It means that another Munitions Expert doesn't do anything. Lackey's a little bit scary. Ah, rough. Okay. That's fair. Come on, white source. Come on now. Ah! Classic. Rough. Hashalik Mons, yep. I just have to block here, unfortunately. This is pretty rough. We do have some nice draws, though. Oh, white source would have been nice, but it just happens. Yeah. Rough. Zealous is nice, the parts are nice. Thoughtseize actually don't mind. I think Goblins is a deck that really always has a good number of cards in hand. That Thoughtseize isn't ever the worst top deck. Probably don't mind dropping a Wasteland, to be fair. Cradle's actually interesting as well, because Goblins is usually a deck that doesn't allow you to go too wide. Everything else kind of has its place. Maybe just 2 Thoughtseize. Force of Vigor's interesting as well, but I think because we have Decays and Oof and some other cards that I'm okay. Just running this back. I might even play a Ramanap over Knight, and that's because Knight's not the greatest attacker because of the amount of X1s they have. And sometimes they can just wasteland us out of the game, so having that ability to use the graveyard as a resource, I think is pretty good in this matchup. Even something as easy as getting back a Dryad Arbor each turn as a blocker is pretty good. And a 2/3 body is okay as well. Hey yo, cool, welcome. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from.
According to Wikipedia, the welcome swallow.
I think my phone just thought I said Google, not Yokel, and it just went off. Classic. But yeah, rough. That was not a fun game. Had some nice cards in hand, but just couldn't cast them. Oh. Goblins pretty rough as well if you're not playing the black, because you really need a way to deal with their go wide strategy. Something like blue-white can have a really tough time against Goblins because you have your 4 Swords to Plowshares, and really that's all your removal that you have. So, you know, pretty lucky to be in black and have the Decays, the Engineers, and the Kaya. Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially something like Mog War Marshal, to get 3 blocks for Tarmogoyf is huge, and I know a big reason why it used to make the deck, just because of how well it dealt with Goyf. From the US, very cool. I'm gonna keep this. It's a turn 1 Dryad Arbor into turn 2 Engineer. I might even use the once here to see if I can find a Noble Hierarch, and that allows me to keep the Green Suns for something like Collector Oof or Knight of Autumn for an opposing Aether Vial. So if we can go Noble Hierarch or Birds here, then we have an answer to both turn 1 Vial and turn 1 Lackey, which is pretty huge. Alright. The question is, do I want to fetch first? And I don't think I do. I could like take a land out of the deck to see, but I think this is fine. Knight of Autumn's pretty nice as well, because that also answers a turn 1 play. In Aether Vial. Yeah, nice. Okay, so this is pretty great for us. So not only is Knight of Autumn great in this matchup against Aether Vial, it also stays around as a body, which kind of has to be dealt with. Of course, Pyrokinesis out of the board from Goblins can be pretty rough, but I think we're looking okay here. Scrib's pretty cool. I don't want to put too much on the board because of Pyro. But here I do have to, you know, play around, untap Vial to 1, put in War Chief, put in Lackey, it has haste, attack. So I think just attacking with the Knight of Autumn by itself is fine. And then we can hold up this Grip Ranger. I think activating Vial whenever you can as a D&T or a Goblins player is just so crucial. Reanimator. Okay. Put on top, I'll pay for this. I don't really need to. It's really just a case of wanting to... The Crater Maker's a pretty nice answer to the Hex Drinker here, which is a little bit rough. And I kind of want to sandbag the Engineer for as long as I can. I am going to pay for this. I do want to dig a little bit. So I can force the Crater Maker here, which is nice. I'm gonna untap this now and return the Bayou so I can untap another creature if I need to in their turn. Nothing. Wow, that's pretty huge. The nice thing about the trade for Hex Drinker and Crater Maker as well is that the Scoos becomes a little bit better as well, because now there's creatures in the graveyard to actually eat. Hey Scoop in Response, welcome. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a nice weekend. Matron's pretty good. Yeah, you definitely could do that. Another Plague. Okay, that's pretty good. Put on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna pay for this. And then it's going to hold up once here. I haven't had a chance to fit in the Big Hate Bear. I do like the 4-mana enchantment that makes cat tokens and +1/+1 counters on your creatures, which is kind of nice, but I have been toying around with a list that's like a green-white depths list that plays Field of the Dead and that new enchantment. Bolt. Okay. Bolt's actually pretty nice. I much rather see Bolt there than something like... Pyrokinesis. Matron. Okay. Chain Whirler's pretty good. Chain Whirler's really good here. I'll take the Cradle. I will return this. Okay. Excavator's interesting. It might just be Ooze here that's the best. Put on top. Put on top. Bird. Ooze. Cradle. Eat. Eat. Pass. We did have a nice start of creatures, but we haven't hit Swords to Plowshares or Abrupt Decay, which are really vital to hit in this matchup. Pashalik. No blocks here. Relic's fine. Okay. I really need a way to deal with this Palstrick ones before I deal with the other creatures. Will fit me, okay. I am gonna wasteland my opponent just in case of Muxus. Upkeep, I will happily eat this matron. No attacks. Okay, that's pretty huge. 2 cards for my opponent, 4 mana, Aether Vial and 4. What do we got? Another Vial's fine. Okay. Oh, a Knight. Knight's interesting. Put on top. I think I like Knight here over the Ramanap. right. Let's see how this goes. Always scary. I mean, one draw from Goblins can just end it here. A ringleader would be really nice. Probably even a matron ringleader. Okay. Pretty lucky there. I'm sure there was some different things we could do. I'm going to bring a knight back in. I'm going to go down on the Thoughtseize. It might just be a Wasteland, because if we can deal with an Aether Vial and my opponent's kept a land-light hand, I think Wasteland can definitely get there. Some scary cards, though, from Goblins, to say the least. A pretty nice hand. I'll keep this. Path's not the greatest answer to Lackey, but see how it fares. A little bit susceptible to Wasteland, but I think that's okay. If we could draw a Mana Dork, I think a Mana Dork would be great, but if they play a turn 1 Lackey, then we can't really play a Mana Dork, unfortunately. The port's pretty funny actually, because it means that even a Dried Arbor couldn't block. I'm going to play the Verdant because if our opponent taps out here, we can then play the Knight as a 4/4, which is pretty nice. Double port, interesting. Or at least one port. Huh. I'm just going to get a forest here. I think just Library is the best card here. Green Suns is interesting though, because getting a creature on the board seems okay as well. I think it's Library. I think Library just allows us to dig a little bit deeper. And if my opponent has something like a Chain Whirler, then they might be looking to just play that as a 0/1 or a 1/1. This is gonna play the port plan. Interesting. It's fine. Nice. I'm gonna pay for the waste. No. I'm gonna pay for this. Play this. Get a Bayou. Play Noble. Yeah, I think the Skyclave does have some play in Green-White Maverick, which is pretty interesting. Ringleader's gonna be okay. Put on top. I don't really want to go to 6 here. Put on top. I don't mind Ramanap. Get back a land. Pass. Kind of feel a Muxus coming if they have... Yeah. Please don't hit something. Okay, that's pretty good. Block here, block here. Put on top. Put on top. Play land. Play knight. Now just probably hold up Abrupt Decay and Swords to Plowshares. Or at least one of either. I've definitely had issues with Jace. I wouldn't say it's 100% cut. I've definitely played against it in games 2 and 3s where I've just lost to it because I don't have creatures on the board. It's okay. Pile drive is fine. Relic. Relic's pretty good. I'm going to Swords the War Chief here because it means that these two don't have haste. I probably should have Abrupt Decayed it because Swords I can just keep down the line. I should have also done it at the beginning of combat and not in the main step. That was just a misclick. But yeah, nice setup here for my opponent. Gets to deal 2 to the knight and then crack the relic, which will make the knight a 2/2. I think Beast here is okay. But it's definitely not looking good. I think my opponent also has a Gem Palm in hand, so... The port plan of Goblins here was really nice, because we didn't really have a way to do anything until turn 4, and then they just kept hitting land drops and were able to play Muxus, which is pretty big. I mean, yeah, Sling Gang here is just, unfortunately, lethal. Rough. But yeah, Goblins a really tough matchup if you don't find your removal early on, because they can just outgrind you so well. And a lot of your sort of 1-for-1s don't line up well, because a lot of the creatures find extra cards pretty easily. Who... We go first. Okay. I'll keep this. Just gonna go Plains Pass. Plains into Sylvan Library into Thalia. Depending on what we're up against, maybe the Thalia is going to be better on turn 2. We do have the 3rd mana to play for Sylvan Library, so I think it will be Thalia into kind of like this. Thoughtseize is pretty good. Hey Lemon Boy, welcome. Hope you're well. Alright, I guess it's just library here. Turn 1 Thoughtseize. So I'm going to assume this is a combo deck. It could be like a mono black combo, but I'm going to assume it might just be Storm. Brainstorm here. Brainstorm here always makes me feel like they're like 1 card off going off. Interesting. I am going to pay just to dig a little bit deeper here. But there isn't really one thing that I want to draw into. I probably don't mind just Knight gain 4. Just put me back at 20 life. This could also be ninjas though. I didn't think of ninjas. I'm going to put them on combo. But if they are on ninjas, I probably want to keep the Knight for something like the 1-mana enchantment. It's the I'd rather watch a stream than play meta for me. I like that. I mean, if this gets forced, then we probably know it's probably more ninjas than it is going to be a combo deck. To be fair, it could be a variety of things. Could be a blue-black shadow. I don't think Thoughtseize, Brainstorm, Pluto Delta give away enough. Maybe I'll just make it a big creature. And then next time we get to play the Questing Beast. Knight of Autumn, also just a nice card to have against Oko decks because of your ability to keep a creature around that's bigger than theirs. Not a whole lot happening here. I mean, this is a 2-turn clock with his fetch in play, so that's kind of nice. Interesting. So my opponent played Thoughtseize and Brainstorms. They didn't play Preordain. They didn't play like a creature. The big issue here is that Swords to Plowshares is a really good card against the ninja decks, but not so good against combo. I think Force of Vigor is great against any of those decks other than Blue-Black Shadow. I don't mind Thoughtseize. Decay and Swords are kind of where I want to make my cuts, if anywhere. Decay is not the worst because if it is a combo deck, sometimes they play out their mana rocks like Lotus Petal and LEDs early to play around Thalia. I think to make sure that we don't die to combo, I'm going to play the Gaddock Teeg as a Green Sun's target. And then to make sure we don't die to ninjas, I'm going to keep in some amount of Swords to Plowshares. Maybe just the one. Tough spot though. I'm happy to go down on the land against these decks, so I'm going to drop a Savannah. This is an interesting one. I kind of want to make sure that I have game against both decks. Zealous is actually pretty interesting because against an Empty the Warrens, it's pretty good. It's also earlier than Plague Engineer if we don't have a turn 1 mana accelerant. Maybe I will keep in just one Swords. We'll see how this goes. The old Uro versus Dreadhorde in chat. I think this hand is okay. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Gaddock Teeg or Thalia. They also took Thalia with the Thoughtseize, so maybe that's something to consider. Ooh, it is interesting. Okay. Alright. So I think here the take is Abrupt Decay because pretty much everything else gets turned off by Gaddock Teeg. What do we think in chat? Is it Abrupt Decay? Is Abrupt Decay just the easiest take here? I think so. If we don't see the Misty here, I'll be very happy because that just means they've drawn a land. Oh, they're playing the Petal out. Okay. Alright. Well, now we play Teeg. Off a... I'm gonna get a Savannah. Hey Toolbox, no, all good. Luckily, it lined up pretty well for us with this hand. Next turn we can Thalia and Wasteland. Interesting, they're fetching all their mana out. Pernicious Deed, rough. Alright, I see how it is. Canopy. I'm probably just going to wasteland my opponent off. This is an interesting one. So I don't want to play the Thalia. I don't want to put two good hate bears on the board. I think Ooze is in between and allows me to clock as well. We're definitely attacking first. Let's make that. So that's done. Now Wasteland isn't doing a whole lot for us here, so I don't mind just going for Skoos. And then taking our opponent off the trop. Deeds are a really cool one. I'm a big fan of that. I'm going to play the Plains and pass with Script Ranger up. Wow, no, nothing from our opponent. That was interesting. So now the question is Script Ranger better than just starting to eat at their graveyard to make Cabal Therapy Cabal Ritual a little bit worse? I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with trying to draw into something. I think we see the pop here. Interesting to see them use the pedal here. Because the pedal's a pretty huge resource. Is it worth me using Skoos here? That's a big question. I think that's okay. I can still cast the Script Ranger. I'm just going to get rid of the deed. Ah, if he doesn't use it, it'll be destroyed. Yeah, poke. Great point there. So if my opponent doesn't use the Lotus Petal there, it just goes to waste because of the Pernicious Deed. Alright. I could just see a little empty here. They have 4 cards, we know about these 3, which is pretty interesting. Infernal Tutor, okay. Revealing? Cabal Ritual, okay. Well, that's a pretty nice 2, 4, 6, yeah. So luckily that first Cabal didn't net an extra 2 mana. So I think we just see an empty here. Which is a little bit scary, let's be honest. Or they could just add Nors. Wow, okay, at 8 life. Land, there's 2. 6, they're at 5. I mean, if they go down to 2, we have Script Ranger and Exalted in the air. So they can't go to 3. They can't go to 3 and think they can win. Delta, Delta, Wishclaw. Oh, they go to 3! I mean, they could try to empty, but they need to hit... No, they can Cabal, but they need to hit a red source. Yeah, they go down to 2. There's the pedal. Oh, so they could Thoughtseize us. No, they can't Thoughtseize us because they're at 2. They go to 1 off the Bloodstained Mire, so Scrib here looks to be lethal. Unless they have another line with Wishclaw. I mean, they're so close to just Wishclaw into Tendrils. Three mana, they have the Cabal. I guess they could Tendrils to just gain some life and gain some time. So will they go for Wishclaw? They go for Cabal. Okay. Hey McSalmon, a huge thank you. Tried your Abzan list today, was a blast to play. That's very cool. A huge thank you. Hey, if you have any feedback, I would love to know. And they're going for empty. Yeah, that's gonna resolve. But thankfully, Scrib Range is gonna get there in the air, which is pretty huge. Play the Wishclaw. Alright. Flash in Scrib. Yeah. Nice. Very cool. Always nice to win a 1 against a combo deck. Alright, so luckily we're at least 2-2, so we can fight out for the 3-0. I'm going to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in a second. See you guys soon. Alright. We're back. Nice. Okay. Played against some cool decks today. Played against Goblins, Ant, Black-Red, Reanimator, maybe even Mono-Black. I'm not sure if that version plays... Oh no, it does, because of Faithless Looting. And then our first win was... KCC. I can't remember. Black-Red's a cool deck, you know. I give it credit. It's in the format, so I'll appreciate it. You know, sometimes it's frustrating, but it's I like to be a glass half full kind of guy, even though this is pretty empty. How is the Field of the Dead build going? It's going. So I think I have a version here somewhere. I think it had September in the name. Maybe this one. Yeah, so this was what I was kind of looking at for some sort of Felidar retreat build. So playing Field of the Dead, Temple Garden over the third Savannah, breaking up the basics, of course, between snow covered and normal. But I think it's probably better in like a green-white depths build. I think this is where I want to be with that enchantment. Because Moxdown is also pretty nice with things like Ramanap. Playing Dryad is good, but it's a case of if I'm playing the Dryad, I should probably be playing the Valakut combo in there somewhere. And then if I'm playing the Valakut combo, should I just be playing like a Dryad Titan deck? Or is that moving away too much from the kind of the builds for green-white depths? So it's tough. Because I don't want to be halfway between two decks. I don't want to be half a Maverick deck and half a Depths deck, or half a Depths deck and half another deck. This is okay. Especially on the play, I'm pretty happy with this. Just going to go fetch. Pass. Windswept Heath, of course, not the greatest land to give away that you're on a combo deck. I think Windswept Heath is probably the deck that gives away that you're on a fair deck. Mountain. Okay. Okay. So the big question here is, do they have removal for Thalia? Because if they do, then it runs away pretty quickly. Oh, Ancient Tomb, okay. Well, that means they don't have Munitions Expert, which is really nice. So if we can get Knight down next turn, I'll be very happy. I don't think these turbo builds play anything like any other removal in the main deck. Ooh, Chrome Mox. Interesting. What is this? Legion War Boss, okay. Pretty happy to block that. Oh, Decay's pretty nice. But I think here I'm happy just to go Knight to have 2 blockers. But I mean, if they have a Munitions Expert... I mean, if they have another Soul Land and a Muxus, it's pretty rough. But we can't really play around that. I think the best way to play around that is play Knight this turn and get access to Wasteland the following turn. Please no Soul Land. They have 4 cards in hand. And, you know, I'm pretty close to just, if they don't play a land here, going Wasteland and Ancient Tomb, Abrupt Decay, the Chrome Mox. Another Chrome Mox. Okay, well, even Green Suns for Collector Oof here is pretty nice. Hey, Jitesh. Yeah, maybe the Turbo Muxus builds don't play black. That's a... Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Interesting. So this pretty much means they get to get in some amount of damage. Ah, okay. I definitely can't let the... Well, can I let the Lackey in? They have 1 card in hand. They didn't play a land. They put a Ringleader underneath the Chrome Mox. I think it's just Thalia, unfortunately. And then we can put this here. Ooh, Plague. We can't Plague and... Ooh. What if we go... is there a way here with Script Ranger to do it? Tap out for Script Ranger. And then we get 3 mana because we can return a land, play it. We can untap the Knight. We can untap the Knight. We can then play a land for turn. So let's... So we tap out for Script Ranger. We can then return a land to our hand, play it, 1 mana. Knight is 2 mana. Untap it, we have 3 mana. Cradle's interesting as well. Cradle nets us 2. I think there is a way. It's too late in the league for this. I don't want to do it preemptively. I want to work it out because if we don't get there, then it's just horrible. I mean, the other play isn't too bad, which is just Kaya tick down on Lackey and then... it's not that great. I think Script does it. Yeah, I think... Script Ranger. We now want to... Yeah, sack this for Cradle. Untap this, return this, play this. Three, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so now I can sack this. Yeah, I definitely feel like wastelanding the tomb. I mean, we can still wasteland and Plague Engineer, which is pretty nice. I think I'm a mana short. I do believe I'm a mana short. Yeah, so I have to use black for the Plague Engineer, and then I can't... Yeah. So, I mean, this is fine. Goblin. Yeah, Plague and Waste is pretty good, so... And we also have Knight here to untap, which is really nice, to return the Bayou. That would have been sweet if we could have Abrupt Decay at the same turn, but... It's fine. I wonder if they know about the Knight being able to untap here. I guess we'll see how they attack, because that really shows us if they do or not. If I don't have to untap the Knight, that's great, because then I get to keep the Bayou in play. In case we draw into another land, we can do a little bit more shenanigans. Alright, just putting the Plague in front. Cool. Kaya can exile Moxen, which is nice. Wasteland. So here I probably don't mind just going for Kaya. Yeah, I think we ignored the Chieftain, which is nice. So I think we probably don't play the Wasteland either. Black. Sack. Probably no reason not to get a fetch land here. And then fetch up a scrub land if I can. I guess Savannah's okay, because then we can return it with Script Range as well, which is nice. I don't mind just taking out the Chromux here. I played the Wasteland for turn. I could have not to untap a creature now, but that's fine. Yeah. Well, that's pretty nice because obviously a pretty crazy start, but got there. Zealous, yes. Paths, yes. Force is interesting. I'm not sure if I want that. I'm probably happy to cut the Thalias. I don't mind the Skoos. I don't mind the Collector Oof because of the Moxen. Yeah, I could have played the Thalia. That's very correct. So I probably should have thought about that Wasteland a little bit more, because then I can return the Savannah, play it, tap for a white, tap the Cradle, play a Thalia. Thoughtseize is interesting. I don't mind going down on a land here either. Probably just a Savannah. And bringing in another Thoughtseize. Yeah, Paper Magic is very nice. This hand is very solid. I'll love to keep this. So I think we lead with the Caracas, because if we don't draw a land off the top, I kind of want to keep the Windswept Heath for a Bayou. Knight did put in work that game. Knight's just a really nice card. Alright. Knight. Hey, M Basket, welcome. Greetings, hope you're having a nice weekend. Skirk. Skirk's actually pretty scary. And I think is gonna... So I can build up my mana here, but I think Thoughtseize hold up swords, and then next turn Plague Engineer is just fine. So let's go for a Bayou here. Thoughtseize my opponent. Wow. Okay. Well, thankfully, they're going to have a pretty slow start. I guess their best draw is probably Ringleader and just sacking the Skirk. So they have 2 mountains. Interesting. So that Lackey didn't really... That Lackey had nothing. Interesting keep. So my opponent get Lackey, Skirk, and then just mana? Okay. Matron. Okay, that's gonna be fine. Yeah, maybe they... Did they mulligan? Let's have a quick look. Multi 6. Yeah, it looks like they're multi 6. They've got Muxus. Interesting. Well, thankfully Plague here is going to be pretty great. Yeah, really, really interesting with their keep there. Part's pretty nice. There's probably a world where you don't attack in case they draw like Ancient Tomb and then play the Muxus. But I think here we're just going to go with tap out for Knight. The Plague Engineer does hit the Muxus a little bit with what they can actually hit. A Mountain's perfect here, because they only have 2 cards in hand, and one is Muxus. So now we can take out the Cavernous Souls. We can do some cool shenanigans. Sylvan Library's pretty nice. So if we play the bird, we then can Cradle for 3. We can also do some cool stuff. Unless I want to get Scrib Ranger. Scrib's kind of nice because then we can replay the Bayou. So we can go tap out for Scrib Ranger, go and get something with the Knight off the Scrubland, return the Bayou, play the bird, and then sack that. Scrib Ranger. Sack this. Get Wasteland. Well, I could get Cradle here. Cradle's actually pretty nice because then I'll also get Library. And I can sack the Bayou. Yeah, so now we can untap this, return this, play this for turn, play the bird, play Sylvan Library, sack this, hit there, go and get the Wasteland, Wasteland my opponent. Hey, Zephyr and RJD, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you guys are from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Two, 7. Oh, they drew the Ancient Tomb. Oh no. Okay. What do you hit? What do you hit? Okay. That's pretty good. Because we can't even untap the Knight here because we don't have a basic. What do they find off the Ringleader? Crater Maker, Ringleader. They don't attack. Wow. If we can find another Plague, that'd be nice. Another Swords, wow. Oof. Put on top. I can pay for this. So let's go 4 mana. Once first. Ah, no, land. Wow. Okay. I guess we'll get a Knight. So we have 2 white mana, which is nice. So they have 2 cards in hand, and we know that they are Goblin Ringleader. Ah, just the Crater Maker. Okay, that's not too bad. So here, I probably like just playing a Knight and then holding up 1 Sword or Path. Which I wonder if I'm actually able to attack here with a Knight. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think just to put them on a 2-turn clock, or at least make them kind of think about blockers as well. I think because we have the second night and we also have so many good cards in hand that it's okay just to pass here. Spyglass. That's gonna be okay. they can see our hand. It's a pretty nice hand to have. I mean, they could name... I don't think it stops Birds of Paradise. Yeah, unless they matter abilities, yeah. I'm going to assume that it's named Caracas or Knight here. Maybe Script Ranger? Yeah, they named Caracas. Okay. Lackey is fine. I probably don't mind here just dealing with the Goblin Chieftain, because then at least it just deals with the Lackey. Yeah, I think Caracas is probably the worst thing I can do, because then it just refuels their hand with Muxus. I'm probably okay here with just swordsing the Chieftain to then kill the Lackey, and then some of their stuff doesn't get haste. From Pennsylvania, started playing Legacy recently, but Eldrazi. Oh, very cool. Yeah, Green White's really nice. Especially with some new cards. There's some pretty cool new cards flowing around. That seem pretty sweet. So we went 3-2. Do I want to play another league? That would be pretty cool. I kind of want to play a Green-White Depths league. I know Dom Harvey recently did really well with it in I think a Legacy Showcase. Where's the list that we just went with? But yeah, I still really like this build. I think there's some reason to play Deafening Silence right now over the Thoughtseizers, but Thoughtseizer's been pretty fantastic, I'm not gonna lie. Leyline's been really solid as well as Graveyard Hate. Let's see if we can find Dom Harvey's list. Yeah, I think it was similar to this, which Will shared, which seems pretty sweet. Thrun in the board is pretty sweet against some of the snow decks. It's just rough that I guess it doesn't line up too bad against Icewind Quaddle because you do have regeneration. But I think this is what I'll be looking at to play maybe a Field of the Dead style combo finish to it. But in terms of Green-White Black, I think Green-White Black is still really well positioned. I love the Plague Engineers, the Kaias, the Abrupt Decays. Didn't really see Kaya too much tonight, but that's more than fine. I know Achilles has also been having really good success with Green White Black and has a little bit of a different build, which I really enjoy as well. So you should definitely check out Achilles as well, because he has started streaming at, I believe, twitch.tv/Achilles27, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm going to call it there. I'm going to enjoy my Sunday, but a huge thank you to you guys for coming in. A huge thank you to the new followers, the new subs. Means a hell of a lot. Always goes towards increasing the viewability of the stream. I'm going to see who else is playing. Omnath in Legacy seems pretty fun. It is a pretty cool target for Green Suns. But I think I'll send you guys over to the Legacy Pit. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me here at Twitter. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can find all my recordings and videos here. You can, of course, find me on the Green Sun Zenith. I have a piece coming out tonight, which is a tournament report from Achilles, who came second in the Legacy Challenge, which is cool, so look out for that. Hope you all have a nice weekend. DW Donut, always a pleasure to have you in here. Let's see if the Legacy Pit. Nice. All right. Take care, my friends. Thank you very much again. A huge thank you. Enjoy your weekends. See you next time.